Tonight on KGW News, swept away where this RV got caught up in a rushing river. Plus,
the numbers are higher than I thought they would be. It's really sad.
KGW investigates the true scope of teacher sex abuse cases in Oregon and learns why action can take years. Then,
I'm Alma McCarty in Southeast Portland. Neighbors push for solutions after an 86-year-old man died crossing a busy street.
It's one of the most unsafe streets in the entire city of Portland.
And later, the Ducks fly north for the big dance.
It's win or go home, and that's something that we all embrace.
How the team's getting hyped on day one of March Madness. Thanks for joining us. We want to head right to the Cascades on this first official day of spring where winter is still in full force. A live look from our Timberline Skycam with what we're calling a weather impact alert in effect, with heavy snow stacking up and much more where that came from. Good evening. David Molko with you tonight along with Chief Meteorologist Matt Safino. So Matt, how much has fallen so far?
Timberline's picked up about 7 inches since the snow began falling earlier this morning. And if you are driving over the Cascade passes over the next 24 hours, you will be impacted by the snow. There's Timberline right now, 26 degrees, a little bit breezy too. And again, about 7 inches of new snow since this morning. So weather impact alert tonight through Friday. We'll probably drop it tomorrow evening. More snow, more wind, low visibility, and the roads will be snow covered. You definitely want to have chains or at least traction tires and throw some extra supplies in your vehicle just in case, right? Because you never want to be stranded out there with nothing. Okay, let's look at Doppler radar right now. A little bit of a break over the valley and in the Cascades, but that's not going to last very long. Look at our snowfall forecast between now and tomorrow, upwards of another foot of snow. So the totals between now and say late Friday night will be about 20 inches or so. So it really is going to come down hard. Winter weather advisory for the next 24 hours. David?
Thanks, Matt. We'll see you in a few minutes with an update. New tonight, we're learning more about Multnomah County's new 24/7 sobering center in Southeast Portland, something the city hasn't had since 2019. And this evening, neighbors had their first chance to learn more about the plans and weigh in. Catherine Cook was there. So, Catherine, what'd you find out?
Well, David, community members we spoke with were anxious, but also relieved to know something's coming to help address a problem that isn't going away. They just want as much information as possible about how it will work.
Once upon a time in Multnomah County, alcohol was the main focus when it came to treating substance abuse. If someone needed to sober up, there were places they could go. But county officials say things changed drastically when fentanyl and meth entered the picture. Unable to support that crisis, the county's sobering center closed, and the problem just got worse.
Ever since the sobering service shut down in 2019, there's definitely been a gap in that, and so it's been a priority for the county to get those up and going.
Mark Harris with the county's health department is helping introduce their new sobering and crisis stabilization center. It's slated for this building on 1901 Southeast Grand. The space will feature up to 50 beds and offer sobering, withdrawal management, and deflection services.
I would say that the county cares about being a good neighbor, and the facility will be safe.
Here to kind of get as much information as I can.
Anna Sass owns an event space in the neighborhood. On Thursday, she joined other community members to learn more about the sobering center.
That impacts my business, and I understand the needs of the people in our area and want our clients to also feel comfortable coming to my space.
A little concerned.
Martin Kearney lives a block away. His main concern is safety.
So hopefully it brings more police presence around the area and, hopefully things don't spill out.
Police hope so too.
We really are not able to arrest our way out of this problem with the amount of people that are addicted to fentanyl.
Central Precinct Commander Brian Hughes says he's grateful first responders will be able to bring people straight to the sobering center.
It'll be our hope that we can bring people to a place where they might get a glimpse at what sobriety looks like, so that they might be able to make better choices, better decisions, maybe get out of the life they're in.
The county is set to close on the building April 3rd and hopes to open the sobering center by 2027. In the meantime, they're adding 13 sobering stations at the temporary Coordinated Care Pathway Center.
I can't wait to get it finished and how it's going to feel once that happens and we actually are able to get folks into the services they need.
County officials tell us $25 million in state capital funding will pay for the sobering center. They say a project budget will determine future costs and funding streams. David.
Thanks, Catherine. Appreciate that update. Happening right now in the UK, one of the busiest airports on the planet is shut down, closed until at least Saturday. We're talking about London Heathrow, where a fire at an electrical substation nearby knocked out power to the entire complex, along with thousands of surrounding homes. Nearly 150 people had to be evacuated. This means no takeoffs, no landings. The airport, which sees some 1,500 plus flights a day, is warning of significant disruptions that could last for days. If you're expecting passengers here at PDX on Friday's nonstop British Airways flight from Heathrow, know that likely will not be coming in. If you're headed to London on Friday, better check with your airline ASAP. The cause of the fire, by the way, is still under investigation. We will keep you posted. In an update, it appears a Delta jet that crash landed in Toronto last month may have been descending too quickly. That detail part of a preliminary report from Canada's Transportation Safety Board, which is leading the investigation. All 80 passengers and crew on board survived when the plane flipped over and skidded on the tarmac. The picture's still incredible, right? The report says the plane banked as it was about to touch down, with the plane's right rear landing gear collapsing on impact and the wing detaching from the fuselage. Delta declined to comment. The investigation here ongoing. To a KGW investigation now, which reveals the scope of teacher sexual abuse in Oregon, including dozens of teachers who've had their licenses revoked over the last 6 years. Investigator Portal Evan Watson looked into why in many of these cases it can be challenging to get clarity, sometimes for years.
In St. Helens, Oregon, the school year has been shrouded by scandal.
It's been shocking because it's just more and more keeps coming out about it.
Gabe Barker and Anna Boyko are high school seniors. Barker's former choir teacher, Eric Stearns, faces 29 sexual abuse charges against 16 different people. Retired math teacher Mark Collins is accused of sexual abuse against 4 different students. St. Helens Superintendent Scott Stockwell resigned, and high school principal Katie Wagner is on leave. She's accused of failing to report the abuse.
It's kind of hard to people to trust their teachers.
But St. Helens, while in the headlines, only represents a fraction of educator abuse across Oregon.
It stands for a much larger problem. It's the tip of the iceberg.
To understand the scope, KGW reviewed hundreds of teacher disciplinary records, investigations, and sanctions uncovered by public records requests. We found 60 teachers in Oregon had their licenses revoked for sexual conduct with students over the last 6 years. Another 36 sexual conduct cases are under active investigation.
The numbers are higher than I thought they would be. It's really sad to hear how high they are, although not entirely surprising.
Amber Kenny and Peter Jancy are attorneys who specialize in child sexual abuse cases.
The number of revoked licenses doesn't reflect the victim count, and it doesn't reflect the predator count, because we know from our work in this area that it's very difficult to get teachers to the point where their license is actually revoked. And even if they are reported, they may not have discipline against them, and they may not lose their license.
Oregon's Teacher Standards and Practices Commission investigates reported abuse. The TSPC posts discipline orders online, often years after a case is first reported. Examples include a 17-year-old girl who said a Hillsborough teacher sent her explicit photos and videos, kissed her, touched her, and attempted to have sex with her. A Woodburn teacher who had sex with a student and paid the student $20,000 in exchange for a thumb drive of explicit photos he had sent. And a Portland student who said a teacher started grooming her when she was 15, texting, sending Snapchats, nude photos, and having phone sex over video. Each teacher declined to interview with TSPC, their licenses being revoked by default.
Grooming is the gateway to sexual abuse. Most cases start out where grooming occurs.
Kenny and Jancy say common patterns leading to sexual abuse include isolating kids and messaging with them privately on social media. TSPC classifies these as boundary violations.
You see that boundary violations can often lead to something more insidious?
Absolutely. I mean, almost every case, maybe every case I've ever handled, there was some indication earlier of boundary violations.
KGW found another 21 Oregon teachers who had their licenses revoked over the last 6 years for other sexual transgressions that didn't reach the point of sexual conduct. Most of these cases are related to grooming allegations. TSPC is currently investigating 116 boundaries cases. Jancy says it's a sign that adults need to speak up sooner.
When we see red flag behavior, we immediately intervene. We alert the experts so that they can do the proper investigations. We make sure that predators don't continue to have access to kids while investigations are going on. And also, we need to continue to reinforce to victims that this isn't their fault, they're not alone, and that things can get better.
Jancy says there's momentum. Children are increasingly willing to speak out about abuse. But is every concern reported?
I feel like kids haven't ever been afraid to actually speak up about anything, but it's been getting the right voice to speak up about it.
Oregon law makes individual school districts responsible for educator background checks. That includes contacting previous employers and checking for TSPC discipline orders. But state investigations can take years to complete. Very few failure to report cases are ever filed, and some abuse allegations are kept quiet.
If you have support, more people will be talking about something.
Jancy says Oregon should expand reporting requirements and tighten background checks within the state. There's no state record of how many concerning teachers have moved from one district to the next.
If you don't fix the culture and the system that those people are operating in, you're playing whack-a-mole. You're getting one predator and waiting for the next one to pop up.
Students want to be believed and supported, and for adults to be more vigilant.
It's hard to talk. So friends, teachers, all these people who say this, they need to talk.
Evan Watson, KGW News.